Good evening, everyone. Welcome to one and all. Yesterday, we saw how we are supposed to do the assessment in low vision patients. So there are many ways to help these patients with low vision aids so that they can continue to do the things that which are important to them. So today we are going to see low vision aids and tools which can benefit these patients. And to give this talk, we have Ms. Devi Uday Kumar with us today. Ms. Devi has done her bachelor's of optometry from Elite School of Optometry in 2008. She has done postgraduate diploma in quality management of hospital and healthcare organization from SCHC Pune. So welcome Dr. Renu and Ms. Unnati. For participants, if you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A box. We'll take them after panel discussion at the end. So now I would like to invite Ms. Devi for her talk on low vision aids. Welcome, Ms. Devi, again. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm very happy to know so many participants for the webinar. So yesterday you must have learned a lot about the assessment, how to assess the functional vision of a person with low vision. So today I'm going to share with you about the wide variety of assistive devices. I want to call it as assistive devices as a collective term. We can also term it as low vision devices. And I also want to touch upon an important aspect about the rehabilitative approach, how comprehensive it should be. So before I move on to my presentation, I want to disclose that there is no financial interest in any of the devices which I mentioned today, and also about the smartphone apps which I mentioned today. So as I mentioned, I'll be touching upon the wide variety of assistive devices, though it will not be an exhaustive list, but you would know what is the how to categorize the devices and how to stock it up based upon the need of the person. And I'll also talk about the recent advancements, and I even have a video about one of the important smartphone app. And at the last, there is a case discussion which would emphasize on the current rehabilitative approach. So, I mean, I think many of the participants would be students today. So, when I was a student, I learned about low vision devices based upon this main category as component-based, which is optical, non-optical, and electronic. When it comes to prescribing for a person with low vision, you must understand the assistive devices in a different categorization, wherein whether the device is for distance, or whether the device enhances the near visual acuity, or is it for the intermediate visual need, or it is for multitasking. The other categorization I would want you to look at is the need of the person, whether the person needs a device for reading, prints, or for writing notes, or is it for recreational activities or personal grooming? Is it for orientation and mobility, or home management, or even vocational needs? The most important aspect of categorizing an assistive device, I feel, is the user-based, or the client or the patient. We should look at, after the assessment, we know the base of their vision and whether the person has some residual vision to fulfill their goals, or if the person has a severe visual impairment, which would require a sensory substitution device rather than a device of low vision, or whether a person is with multiple disability along with a visual impairment. Age of the patient is also a critical point when prescribing an assistive device. Cost I have put as the last, because there are lots and lots of ways to get the cost-effective device for a person, even if the person is unaffordable in a low to middle socioeconomic condition. So what are the devices available? I am sure you must know about all these devices. Some of the simple devices also I will mention. These are the devices for the distance visual task, mainly telescopic systems. even binocular systems. CTV magnifier is one of the commonest prescribed telescopic systems. Some of the other devices, which is there in the right corner of the slide, are also telescopic system, but gives multitasking because of the positioning of the telescopic system, but slightly expensive. The most commonly prescribed devices and wide variety availability is present in near visual, low vision devices. And you have a variety of devices in terms of the design and also with illumination, whether you need an illuminated with LED illumination, white light illumination, or if the person prefers yellow light illumination, even there are devices which have yellow light illumination available with handheld model and also compact designs which are pocket magnifiers which can be kept or carried along with the person. The most commonly prescribed devices, I would say, are spectacle magnifiers and dome magnifiers because of the simplicity and cosmetics. And some of these devices, like a dome magnifier, dates back to 1976, and stand magnifiers are dates back to 1976 and 1996. So all these two devices, I would recommend you to have all time in your clinic or even in your screening kit. Non-optical devices are a wide variety. I have listed a few here and have shown as pictures. The most commonly prescribed non-optical device, I would say, is a reading lamp. Always, sometimes it can be prescribed even standalone device, or we have to give a combined approach when prescribing a non-optical device. When you're prescribing a spectacles, think about prescribing with filters or providing additional devices as non-optical devices of reading lamp or a reading stand. These are the other non-optical devices. Some of the devices which I wanted to mention is a typoscope, which can enhance the contrast of the existing prints, or you can give a contrast enhancement backgrounds to improve their vision, or an illuminated mirror, or even a normal button phones with large prints. Why not smartphones here is a non-optical here. A button phone proves useful in case of an elderly who cannot or not wanting to actually learn the smartphone. Many of the elderly would want to learn about smartphones and also possess smartphones. But when it comes to calling or speed dialing for an emergency, a button phone with a simple 4 or 5 phone numbers with an emergency contact proves useful. I have seen it. These are commonly available devices. Then, once the non-optical devices or the optical devices, after which there came an era of electronic devices, but some of which are desktop mounted, can be slightly bulky and cannot be, is not portable. But when it comes to portable video magnifiers, these have come up the commonest prescribed and accepted devices because of the sophistication, portability, and availability to change the contrast, magnification settings, and also it comes up with connectivity to a bigger screen, even a TV monitor or a bigger laptop monitors. So when it is connected to a bigger screen, the magnification specification increases manifold. Some of the magnifiers come with a raised stand, wherein it can be a useful tool for even for writing. The future holds few good possibilities for augmented reality devices and virtual reality devices. Augmented reality devices are a few I have listed here. They are very useful in the sense like improving their contrast, augmenting the vision through enhancing the contour, and increasing the maximum field of view because of the wearable model. It even has screen color filtering. It, as the name suggests, augments the real-time viewing of the visual scene. But when it comes to the cost, actually outweighs the advantages of these devices. Virtual reality devices are also in practice. Mainly, they have been tried in therapies where visual rehabilitation therapies are given for hemiopic patients or neurorehabilitation. Okay, I want to actually group the devices as two: low vision devices and devices for the blind. Why? Because when you consider sensory substitution, you should know the categorization as we did with the low vision device. So the most commonly I would want to categorize the sensory substitution device is for task, based upon the task needed of the person. Mobility, the regularly commonly prescribed white cane is the standardized or mostly used technique for mobility. But when there are auxiliary attachments like rolling marshmallow tips or rotating rotating ball tips, and even smart canes, which are auxiliary attachments to the existing white cane. But white cane, because of the tactile sensation, proves useful sensory substitution device. When it comes to education, there are universal braille kits available and tactile books with drawings, which help the children understand the shape and also read and write. Recreational assistive devices include tactile. Any device, any games which have large print can be a useful recreational device, or tactile chess. All the other large print or braille cards become recreational tools. Kitchen safety equipments and talking thermometers, talking all the other any electronic device which is used for daily living activities which has audio input can become an assistive device for visually impaired. There are other recording devices which were available, but after the advent of smartphones and the accessibility features inbuilt in a smartphone, all the other the smartphones has become an all-in-one solution for a visually impaired. The only thing is they have to learn the accessibility features of a smartphone. The mobile technology incorporated into the smartphone has to be trained so that they can effectively learn the art of mobile technology. And in computers, there are screen readers like non-visual desktop access, JAWS, and also some magnifier softwares like Magic help the visually impaired and make the accessible digital world. You must be wondering how a smartphone is utilized by a visually impaired. For what purposes? This paper gives a list of tasks for which a visually impaired would use a smartphone. If you can see, be it a voice assistant or a multi-purpose app or magnifier or a navigation, even for leisure, accessing social media, braille apps, when it comes to online shopping, smartphones are utilized. There are some of the list of smartphone apps which I have given in the list. This is not an exhaustive list, but some of the commonly prescribed mobile applications, mainly Seeing AI, which is an iOS app, but the counterpart, Lookout Google or Sullivan app, is similar to Seeing AI, but an Android version. Lazarillo is a navigation app. Be My Eyes is a volunteer, a sighted volunteer will be there, will be connected so that you can get assistance by a sighted volunteer online. Money app is a currency identifier app. Again, a money checker is also a currency identification app. And Pocket Magnifier, as the name suggests, is a magnifying app. Let's look at the other important apps. A smartphone can become a magnifier when you download a VZoom app, which is an app similar to digital magnifiers. It can actually, a person can change the color contrast, can change the magnification. There is a smooth magnification change. And when, if at all it needs to be adjusted, the color contrast or the reverse contrast is needed, it can become a magnifier. Google Lookout, I already told you, this is a visual assistant app for a visually impaired. These are apps developed by Google. Google Lookout is, as the name suggests, is a Google app. Lazarillo is an accessible GPS app. It becomes a navigation assistant when a person starts using a navigation app. And there are variety of reading apps. One which I have listed here, which is a reading mode app, is a Google's own app. But there are other apps or reader apps like PDF Reader, and even Google Lookout will do some of the document reading can be done through these apps. And all these smartphone apps, after smartphone becoming an important assistant for a visually impaired, many of the assistive technology is now relied or developed in addition to the smartphone app. For example, navigation, all these labeling apps, when combined with an Android app, can be used as a personalized labeling tab. So let me show you the Seeing AI app. I have a video here. Tell me whether the audio is also heard. You can see there are different, one second, I'll just use a marker here. There are a lot of features listed here. We'll go one by one. The first is the text feature. The next would be the document reader. And the next would be identifying a barcode. And the next would be identifying a person, currency, and a scenery, and also handwritten materials. Let's see whether it picks up. Is the video playing?
Yes.
Now? I'm sorry.
Hello?
Is the video playing now?
Yes.
Yeah. Just a minute. Trying to read the
Robin Sharma, Greatness. Robin Sharma, author of the worldwide document. Top processing. SBI Mutual Fund, a partner for life. Stay calm amidst the chaos of uncertain markets. Invest in balanced advantage funds.
So it picked up the headline and also read some of the other fonts.
Product. Processing. Great Stories for Children, Ruskin Bond.
It picked up correctly. This is one of the book of my kid. So it took some time to read the barcode,
Person.
but it read correctly.
Processing. No people could be detected.
So too much of movement, it couldn't pick up the face of a person. So on a second trial.
Processing. 34-year-old man with black hair and a beard looking neutral.
You can see it even picked up the emotion of a person in addition to describing the person who is in front of.
Currency. 500 rupees. 500 rupees. Scene. Preview. Processing. Probably a framed picture of a beach.
It's almost correct. Picked up it's a water
processing.
scenery.
Probably a door with a handle.
Even though, I mean, it looks like an old door, but it picked up the door and image of the door, and it mentioned about the handle. So let us see whether it picks up my handwriting.
Preview. Processing. Glare testing is useful in low vision assessment. It gives an understanding of impaired functional pen's vision due to light scattering. For example, dye-mediate opacities like cataract NS-way solar testing can simply be assessed by holding a light source near the.
I mean, it picked up even my handwriting. It was very amazing that it picked up my handwriting. So after smartphone, the smartphone era kind of opens up possibility for the more advancements like wearable technology and even more connected GPS navigation tools, etc. So one such device which is available in India is a smart vision glasses, which is a wearable device. This is a device which gives an audio substitution, a real-time audio interface between the user. It is connected through a cable to the Android app, and it has braille-coded keys and with four functions and an emergency caller feature also. The 4 buttons include some of the features which you just saw, which is things around you mode. It picks up object detection around a person. Reading mode, which actually reads any material, even it picks up 9 different Indian languages. Third option is a walking assistant. It gives audio description and gives distance estimation of the obstacle. Fourth is the face recognition. If familiar faces are stored with as you store in your phone, if you store the faces in the device, it will pick up when the person is oncoming and announce instead of the person, I mean by name instead of a person with so and so description. So this is also a useful futuristic device, and more and more advancements are happening in this field. So when it comes to braille readers, what is the advancement happening is the regular universal braille kit will have regular reading and reading tools and writing tools like braille slate and word building blocks and learning tools, etc. But this is a refreshable braille displays which kind of eliminate the bulky large braille books. When it comes to OCR devices, more compact devices have come up. One which is a Kibo X's device, OCR device, which when connected to a laptop can actually transform a printed material into a digital format, and it can be edited, translated, and even contrast enhancement can be done and can be downloaded. So these are very useful when it is stationed in any college or any educational institution, because all the printed materials, when transformed into a digital material, it becomes accessible for a visually impaired. And this is another tool with which is called URead. This is also an optical character recognition device, and it transforms any reading material into a a digital material. It reads out, and also it has a storage space where you can take the reading material via USB connector and use it in a laptop. So I think I have covered the wide variety of the assistive devices and categorized it. But when it comes to prescribing, it is the main aspect is not to give devices or not to prescribe just assistive devices, but to look at the goals of the patient and appropriately give these devices. For example, some may require a standalone one device, or some may require a combined approach, or even a person with low vision would want to actually not use his vision for leisure reading, in which case you should actually give a audio device in addition to vision enhancement low vision devices. So I'm not going to dive deep into the management approach, but just to touch upon the important aspects of prescribing these devices is to look at the task or the visual task which is a person is needing, and to appropriately give a spectacles and also appropriately give a appropriate design. For example, a person with low vision would have difficulty with a field of vision difficulty, will have difficulty with progressive lenses. So look at the design of the spectacles they are wearing and relieve them of this design and prescribe appropriate prescription. And also, whenever needed, suggest appropriate approach magnification, which is making the person sit in front of the visual task. For example, a classroom environment. Rather than giving out telescopes, give them a letter to the teacher, making them to sit in front of the classroom and get the approach magnification. So the other prescribing the devices would involve calculating the magnification on the residual vision and prescribing appropriate scanning technique and orientation whenever needed, suggesting training for orientation mobility. So when it comes to near vision tasks, we have a wide variety of devices. A person who needs a complete working distance, doesn't want to compromise close working distance, you can give a drone magnifier or a digital magnifier. But when a person with whom actually is comfortable with spectacle magnifier, doesn't mind the closer working distance, go for it. So LVD selection is becomes complete only when you give a training with a low vision device, because only after the training, the person can understand the usage, because all their life they would have learned. I mean, for example, a geriatric person, they would have kept the reading material at nearly 20 to 30 centimeter. When you prescribe a magnifying device, the working distance would change, and you would want to train them, give a training session, and then only prescribe. So it is not just the devices, but it requires a complete team, a multidisciplinary team to manage a person with low vision or visual impairment. It comprises of optometrists, ophthalmologists are the key in referral, appropriate referral and timely referral. And developing a rapport between the referring ophthalmologist will improve referral. And also, when it comes to certifying a person's visual disability category, or you want to refer a person for a disability certificate, an ophthalmologist certification is also important. Rehabilitation specialists, occupational specialists, speech language specialists, special educators, and remedial education, all, therapists who actually help in education are important in persons with MDVI or CVI children. There are other rehabilitation specialists or separate trainers for orientation mobility training, vocational training, and assistive technology training. Even Braille training is given by trainers. And when it comes to genetic counselors, there are various diseases which cause low vision, and the most is retinitis pigmentosa. Sometimes the person would be clueless and what to do. So I mean, when it comes to whether they would have many questions in whether the sibling would have, whether their generation would carry this disease, and what to do, and so all these questions can be answered only through a genetic counselor. So build a relationship and refer accordingly to the nearest genetic counselor. And teachers of visually impaired are important, and not to forget about the non-profit organizations and non-governmental organizations, which play an important role in enabling and empowering these visually impaired. So as I told you, develop a linkage and referral to other management team so that you give a comprehensive care to the person. Okay. Just to understand about this multidisciplinary approach, I have a case discussion. Okay, this is a girl who was diagnosed with ethambutol-induced toxic optic neuropathy in the year 2020, right in the middle of the COVID period. So her care, her background is of low socioeconomic background. Her mother was a daily wager. Her father is also a daily wager. She is studying in college, and she is studying a degree on computer applications. And she is not able to continue her education because of the condition and systemic condition of tuberculosis, and also the ethambutol is a primary drug given for tuberculosis, because of which she has developed a toxic optic neuropathy. The education, as I mentioned, is of computer applications, which she couldn't continue because of a condition. Mobility, she has no difficulty right now, but when in outdoor environment and in dim illumination, she is having difficulty. As far as light sensitivity, there is no difficulty. This is her visual acuity. Her left eye is the better eye with 6/12 vision. But if you could see the visual field here, okay, I just wanted to show the fundus image about how toxic the optic atrophy after the toxic optic neuropathy. The optic disc looks pale, and also the macular thickness of the OCT shows reduction in the thickness of the RNFL layer. So this is the important visual field information we want to have, because the left eye has patchy vision. She has overall depressed fields. Right eye is more, and left eye is spared. So we give the first sessions, because of the sudden vision loss, she couldn't talk much. She was very reserved, and she didn't even look at me when I was explaining her about the condition, about what has to be done. And then when I explained her, I had to explain only to the mother. And then, even then, I explained all the options of the devices and training, and this is not the end and everything. They came back. Okay, they came back and wanted to try this near vision device. One of the device, like portable video magnifier, was very useful, and she took, and with that she was able to read N6 with a continuous text and at comfortable working distance, and also reading speed was good. So she was now able to go to college and pursue her education. After which she had an unique difficulty of, she came back and told that she wanted to write in her record book. She's finding it difficult to write in a straight line. So I had to give her a typoscope and also a writing guide. Telescopes were not very useful, and she was not keen on actually distance visual tasks. So she was able to continue the education, but when she was in her third year, she had a difficulty in computers. Let me come back to that. But before that, she is from poor, low socioeconomic condition. So she had to be referred simultaneously when we are managing her visual condition. So she was referred with a referral letter to the government body which certifies and gives a disability certificate. So give the proper attach the proper documents and specify the percentage in your recommendation letter whenever you refer to a government body, so that it serves as a base when the person is evaluating. They would also evaluate the person and give their disability certificate. Being a college student, her condition is also not very visible for the normal people. So letter to educational institution will help the teachers and the faculties understand her condition and give whenever there is time needed, for example, for an examination or for writing a record book, she would require more time than her peers. So when the other aspect of rehabilitation, I mentioned that smartphones are an inevitable tool for a person with low vision or visual impairment. So she preferred a smartphone because wherever she wanted to use other sensory substitution apps or be it a regular visual tasks which she wanted to enhance, a smartphone is inevitable. So smartphone was given to her, and after which she underwent a training program on how to use the mobiles. She also underwent a 3-month computer training to how to use a computers with all the inbuilt accessibility tools of magnification. She did not require a screen reader because her vision with magnifying the magnifier, inbuilt magnifiers of the computer, she was able to comfortably view the monitor. She was also taught scanning technique for safe navigation. And she also underwent a job-oriented skill training. She is now pursuing this job-oriented skill training, and she soon will get into the job placement group and will get empowerment. So if the visual field, mostly this topic optic neuropathy, the visual field will remain stable, but in some cases we would need to re-refer them for orientation and mobility training if the visual field is hampering their navigation. So I feel that the role of a multidisciplinary approach, an optometrist, a low vision care specialist is involved, a government body who certifies a disability certificate is involved here, and donating a smartphone, an NGO is involved, and in conducting all these job-oriented computer training programs, the NGO, 1 or 2 NGOs are involved, and all these actually demonstrate an individualized low vision rehabilitation and also a multidisciplinary approach. I acknowledge my VisionAid team and also the VisionAid Resource Center for the case discussion. And these are some of the websites. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, sure. All these assistive devices, the futuristic devices, are kind of commercially accomplished devices, I would say. But when it comes to students, I mean, when I teach my students, I usually recommend them to take up low vision because they will be placed in a secondary eye care hospital or a tertiary eye care hospital. If a low vision center is present in a hospital, it would actually add value to the hospital and improve a comprehensive care. So that's how I motivate my students to endeavor into wherever they are. They have to start practicing low vision and also slowly incorporate even the devices for affordable population. So they have to stock up not only the cost-effective devices, but also commercially profitable devices for them to show a profit kind of. Yes.
And thanks to Devi Unnati here. Thanks to Devi for such a wonderful presentation within the 30 or 40 minutes. No, you touched the all corners of low vision management within the very short duration. It is a great presentation here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Inu, I want to ask you one question that,
Yes.
what basic visual this low vision aids one should have, the private practitioners basically, just to
It's
start
a
the.
very good question, Ashita, because no, many clinicians do say, okay, we need to start low vision, so we need an infrastructure for that. We need very expensive devices. So it's not like that. Okay, with your own refraction set, you need certain devices. I'm not saying you don't need devices. You need certain devices, but it is a very basic and minimal cost. Okay, and the main is to pass the information to the patient. So most of my students and which clinicians I've seen over a period of time, they say we don't get referral for low vision, we don't have low vision patients. We do have, and it is there in your clinic. Okay, you need to aware them. Okay, I do agree referral is a altogether a different topic. We can have a separate discussion on how to improve the referrals. Okay, so you can very easily start a primary low vision clinic in your respective clinic itself. You just need logmark chart. Okay, few low vision devices such as hand magnifier, stand magnifier, and telescope. Okay, you should have contrast and simple devices like you don't need any high standard devices. You can check mobility with the help of two chairs. You can have a functional color vision. You can have homemade tangent screen or basic Bayesian screen to evaluate the visual field, because we are left with a quantity of vision. We are not looking for the qualitative vision. So there are residual vision which is left, and we need to enhance and make sure they use their residual vision. So it is very simple, very basic, just a motivation is required. And as Ms. Devi has given a variety of devices and in detail she has explained. So something like this, you just need to be very much conscious what you're doing, because patients are there in your clinic. When you are in the OPD, patients are there. We need to make them aware and start. So I think if you have a motivation enough, so it is very simple. Hardly you need 4 to 5,000 to open your own primary low vision care clinic.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I would like to ask all three of you.
I just wanted to add point here. Even if the if
we
there are no
sorry.
there are no logmark charts, there are yeah, they, I hope my voice is clear. There are also online based tests which are available. Whichever vision, functional vision which we can check is important. Then slowly we can build on the getting the necessary equipments like logmark chart, standardized charts and all. When once the person starts to think about standardized charts, even at the first, that can be expensive for few of the practitioners.
Great. Thank you. I would like to ask all three of you that, we have rightly, you said, rehabilitation and counseling is where, plays very important role in the management. So could you all please elaborate on that, how important it is, or if those patients who are not benefited by the low vision aids, so how can we do the rehabilitation in those cases?
Yeah, so I like to weigh in this, and because counseling is one of the key to make your low vision service very much successful. So it goes parallelly. So basically, we need to identify if it is a patient which is a pediatric patient, need to know, understand which vocational counselors you need to attend. Then if it's a geriatric patient, so it depends from one patient to the other patient, but it goes hands in hand. So I give a special credit to all the rehabilitators. Okay. So we need to know where to refer the patient. A bit of counseling, yes, we can do, we can motivate them. But when it is required, a professional counselor, so I prefer to refer them to a professional counselor and have a follow-up with all the patients who need a professional counseling. There is a group of patients who really need a professional counseling. And as a low vision specialist, our duty is to motivate them and have a regular follow-ups. So the follow-up is one of the key, and we need to identify which patients need a professional counseling.
Right.
Yeah, I want to like add some more points. I'm like fully agree with the Renu ma'am, but like most of the time now we think when we are sitting in the low vision clinic, then we can have the low vision patient. But I think it is not like absolutely correct. Like when you are doing the private practice, yeah, you are doing some like attached with some hospital where you didn't have low vision services. But when you did the reflection and you have ophthalmologist set up in your unit or in your like private setup, so at least you try to refer the patient as soon as possible. Because I'm working with the low vision clinic since 7 to 8 years. Maximum patient I receive in my OPD, the patient belong to the like rehab criteria, means 80% on the rehab criteria. So at least as a optometrist, because we did our diploma or degree in the optometry, so at least it's our moral duty, we can refer the patient as soon as possible and we can aware the patient, because we are the first person to meet the patient. So at least we can give some hope to the patient that your life can be better after some modification and some rehabilitation service. And at least we can counsel in the some mode. So we can the first counselor. Yeah, professional counselor, yeah, very important. But as optometrist, at least we can do some counseling at the same place. So when the patient, because when the patient have low vision problem with a long time, 6 years, 7 years, the patient have like develop some psychological issue. So the like counseling at the multiple steps is very important. At least it can give some hope in the patient life. And loop is very important. Like if we are sitting the near like Sitapur zone or Lucknow, nearby there is no low vision center. At least we cannot give the space. We can give some contact number, contact person name with the right slip in the writing, your phone contact number. So they we will try to connect direct to the low vision person. Not only you can give the low vision in the like LVPI, SNA, something place. We can give some contact number and some contact person who are very willing or dedicated for these type of servicing. So there is a loop is very necessary. Like in UP, there are 2 or 3 centers. So if you get any UP patient, so you can give 2 or 3 numbers, contact numbers and contact hospitals number. The loop is very, if we can connect the primary, when we are sitting in the primary care centers, so we can connect the patient directly to the secondary center. We cannot connect directly to the tertiary centers. So at least we can connect the patient to the secondary centers. So they can at least get secondary type of managers like simple magnifier and simple type of devices. So this is very necessary. And I think as you know, because we are, Renu ma'am is also faculty and I'm also dealing with the academics here. It is as a like, because I saw in many institute, we teach the low vision as a subject, but they don't have any exposure of low vision devices, no labs, no patient exposure. So they cannot connect to the patient. So it is very necessary, like if Sitapur Eye Hospital have a good setup of low vision centers and other institute had a good center of contact lens patient. So we can get some collaboration, because exposure is very necessary during the training period. It will give the future, the real future of optometry. When we have exposure of good patient, then we at least we can connect to the patient and we can develop some interest. On the basis of interest, we can explore the knowledge. So as a faculty, we are always ready to collaborate and other things for the exposure of the patient. Or we can also collaborate with some projects like presently we have Genet project and CBM project. So these type of services can connect the optometry student to the real situation birds. So this as a faculty, it is very necessary, because it don't I never see the hand magnifier. So how can I assume that this magnifier is helpful to the patient life? So this is not the drawback of a student. So as a senior practitioner or as a academician, it is like our responsibility. We will give the good training. Otherwise, we cannot stop the poor uptake of low vision services. Each and every person in their places can do some good work. Then we can connect in the group. That is the excellence of low vision center. Otherwise, like only because 1 or 2 or 4, 5% cannot do the magical result in the low vision. Because most of the person think low vision are not beneficial, because patient in the OPD is a very poor vision, 1/60, they night peer. So how the low vision practitioner can help the patient? So early referral is a very important. So for that, we can conduct some 1-day seminar, 1-day workshop, only emphasis only on the basic referral criteria, not only deep in the management and type of devices. Only basic criteria, what are the basic referral criteria of low vision? Only 2 or 3 criteria. And then we can do some like pre and post assessment. What the impact of one day workshop or what day seminar. So I think after the hard work of 2 or 3 years, it will get some better result in the low vision services, because there are a lot of barriers in the poor uptake. So I think the main barrier is poor referral. It is a very big challenge for all low vision practitioners.
Yeah, very true and very nicely said, Ms. Unnati. Thank you so much. We'll take a few questions in the question and answer box. One is why we have gains majorly in whites. Any specific reason for that?
Usually the top. The canes are white because of the contrast, and also it has reflective tapes, like red tape around it. And in India, it is commonly on the last piece of the cane. They are actually foldable canes. Usually, prescribed canes are foldable canes, 5-fold or 4-fold. The red reflective tape will be mostly on the last fold of the white cane, because of the the usage will be there even in the dim light. So that's why it is in white and with reflective tapes. But in some other foreign countries, even the positioning of the tape and everything also it signifies the percentage of the visual impairment. But not in India. The canes are regular canes, but they come with different tips, like roller tip, which I told you, rotating balls, which will actually help in scanning the environment without lifting the cane. So it is effective for that. It comes with pencil tips and all. But it is usually white because the reason for is the contrast.
Okay, thank you. There's another question. What's the importance of multivitamins in low vision? Is it effective or not?
There were some research studies which were done earlier, but I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think there is an effective multivitamin suggested, but I would leave it to the other panelists to discuss this.
Yeah, Dr. Renu, any idea about this?
Can you pardon the question?
What's the importance of multivitamins in low vision? Are they
It's kind
effective
of a placebo
or not?
effect. It's a kind of a placebo effect.
Yeah. Because I've seen many ophthalms prescribing eyesight plus
It's a
or
placebo effect, yeah. So to have some mental engagement for a patient, because in India the scenario is a doctor has written some medicine, he's a good doctor, so something like that.
Right. Okay, I'll take up the next question. How to differentiate between amblyopia and low vision?
Amblyopia can improve with therapy, but for low vision we need devices.
Yes. Low vision is even after treatment, and no further treatment is what classifies them as low vision.
And like for the amblyopia, like vision of the right eye is 612, 618. Right eye vision is 618 and left eye is 69. Then we can categorize in the group of amblyopia as a per definition, at least 2 line difference. But for the low vision, we have a definite criteria, no? Best corrected visual acuity in the better eye 618. So that is also the like demarcation line between the amblyopia and low vision.
Correct. And which cannot be corrected by actually medical or surgical.
Yeah. And in the amblyopia, like visual pathways, the normal fundus is also normal. But in case of like mostly they have retinal problems under the low vision.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that answers the last question also. And take one more and then we'll end the session. Okay. Are there any rehabilitation courses available? If you know anything of...
Yes. Many of the tertiary care centers like LVPA has a fellowship on early intervention, even early intervention for optometrists and low vision rehabilitation training. And even Shankar Nethralaya has one. if the panelists could add more, I think there are many centers which are offering low vision.
Yeah, like in UP near
rehabilitation.
to Lucknow, there is even Sakuntala University, that is a rehab university. So they give a lot of courses regarding the rehabilitation. And there is even more option, special B.Ed. That there are two types of B.Ed, normal B.Ed and special B.Ed. The special B.Ed duration is 3 years. So after the completing the special B.Ed, no, they can partially work with the rehabilitation services.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Devi, Ms. Unnati, and Dr. Reenu for taking out your valuable time to be with us today. So on behalf of OCI, I would like to thank you all, the speakers and panelists, and thank you all the participants also for attending this webinar. I would also like to thank Dr. Kalpana from Vision 2020 and CyberSight for organizing this session. So next session, we have it in December, maybe mid-December on dispensing optics. So see you all in December. Have a great day ahead. Thank you all for joining today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Harshada.
you very much.